Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guests this morning need no introduction, but in case you've been under a rock and don't know who they are, let me share with you a little bit about who David and Tamela Mann are. Ingeniously funny and extraordinarily talented are understatements when it comes to the multifaceted careers of powerhouse business and life partners David and Tamela Mann. Audiences have come to know them and love them through Kurt Franklin and the Family, Tyler Perry theatrical, television productions, and films. Mr. Mann is an NAACP Image Award-winning actor and comedian, and his wife Tamela Mann is a Grammy Award-winning, Dove Award-winning artist and singer. We welcome the Manns to the OPT Network for the very first time to talk about their new release. It's entitled David and Tamela Mann, Us Against the World, Our Secrets to Love, Marriage, and Family. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's great to have you guys. And as I was reading the book, Tam, I wondered why you all would be so open about your journey. Talk about why you decided to share the beginning.
The reason why we decided to do the book, the Lord, can't help to say it, but the Lord was just pressing on my heart because a lot of our friends was coming to us for, even early on in our marriage, just to give advice. And it's not that it's more about advice, but it's about help. And in order to, the thing is to help as many couples as we can, as many families as we can. That's the reason why we kind of open our lives up, even with the book, the reality show. If we could help just one family stay together and not quit on each other, that's what it's all about for us.
So, David, was it hard for you when you guys sort of relived the beginning? Because in the beginning, and if you've been married for any length of time, those first 5 to maybe 7, even 10 years are the toughest. And that's really when you guys could have stumbled. Was it hard for you to relive that?
Yeah, because we had to go back and...
You say David, that's both of us.
That was both of us.
That's a both of us question.
Absolutely, because it was hard for you. It had to be hard for you, Tam, and for people who haven't read the book. Let me just set that up. So David had a child before you guys were married, and then during the process of those first years, you get a knock on the door, and then there's another baby that you're struggling with. So I'm sure it was hard for both. So how do you go back to that time?
I think hard was an understatement, because that was one of those things that like to separated us, because it was, how do you tell your wife, oh, by the way, I have another child? Right. And, you've accepted one child, but it was one of those situations that could have, driven a wedge between us. But, that's how the Us Against the World title came about, because we were, I just set her down, and because at first she was like, I'm not doing this. I'm good. You're on your own with this. Mm-hmm. And I explained to her, look, I love my kids. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to be a stand-up guy. But at the end of the day, that it's you and I against everything else, us against the world.
Yes.
And, so that's what kind of helped us to kind of navigate through a lot of that.
But so, Tam, you write about in the book, you said, after all this comes at you, you really don't know where you fit in the scheme of David's heart and his priorities. Talk about how you go through that, because for a lot of people, it could have been a deal breaker.
Well, for me, it was after, again, to just add to that, once David set me down and I heard his heart, that it was going to be me and then, the kids. Because like you said, I didn't know what was going to happen, because I was about to deal with another mother that it was a little different from the first mother. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it was a clash there in personality or what, but once we worked through, it's like I told her, it's not about me and you, it's about the baby. So mainly by me growing up being a stepchild, I put myself in the position of these girls that I want someone to love me for me and not make them feel like they're not a part of the family, because I love their dad, and by me loving him, help me work through dealing with whatever, any other situation that dealt with the girls, because it's like, I'm going to love you because I love your father, and we're going to grow together. I'm not trying to take the place of your mother, right, but it's like, I'm here to just help give guidance. Yeah. So that's kind of how I worked it out, and even telling them, you don't have to call me mom if you don't want to, but here, I'm just an extra person to kind of give you guidance along the way. So that's
a bonus.
They're bonus. They're bonus. You're the bonus mom, and they're the bonus kids. But deep down inside, though, were you angry at David?
Well, when it first came to me, yes, I was upset. I was quite upset. I was angry. I think I was more angry, honestly.
I think that was an understatement.
You know what? Even though by us being best friends, I knew who he had been with and who he was talking to. But I think it was honestly about all of who it was. Honestly, it's like, why? Not to say it could have been anybody else, but it was really a rough patch. But my love for him and our friendship helped me conquer it all with the Lord's help.
And that's where, that's why we write in the book that friendship has to be a foundation of it all. Because when you're mad at husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, the friendship that you guys have built as a foundation is what's going to carry you through some of those rough patches.
Right. Okay, so here's the thing, and I thought that this was really great. So you make it through that, but neither of you, like a lot of us, you didn't have the foundation of marriage and what marriage really looked like. So how do you then say, we're going to create something different than what we saw growing up? Do y'all make a collective effort to say, we're not going to do what we saw our folks do?
Exactly. Because we didn't have a template for it.
Right.
We did, but there was no model to say, model after this, because both of our moms have been married multiple times, and we've seen some, rough things in marriages growing up. But we first took divorce off the table for us. For us, it was like, let's work through any and every. And, after that, it's like, let's get in here and roll our sleeves up and get with the grind.
And it's like, I seen people at my church, honestly, that I could see a 2-parent home. And it's like looking at so many, because a lot of people kind of took me under their wing. And I would always tell David, I was like, these people who didn't owe me anything really helped build me as a woman and as a wife. It's like they gave me my first lady, which was my aunt, showed me a good foundation of what a family and how the structure inside, kind of what it looked like to have kids, a husband, a 2-parent home with the kids and everything.
But the thing of it is in the early part of the book and in the early part of your life, you guys were so young, and you had 2 children that were David's children that were not yours. You had your own baby. You had David Jr., who was born almost, not long after you married. And then you find out after he's born, soon thereafter, you get pregnant again. And then you have your niece who, she comes from such trauma, your sister's child, Tam, that had been shot in the head. And then her mother eventually dies of cervical cancer. And so I wonder how you deal with all of that, all of that controversy, really.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, and maintain your sanity and your love for each other.
We could only do that with each other. I often tell her that this journey would not be the same with anybody else other than her. We could have only done this and been on this journey for this 30 years with each other. Because, to deal with all that you just said, only she could have understood that, and only I could have understood that coming from both sides. So that's how we were able to do it. We were able to do it, number one, with our Lord and Savior. Number two, with our friendship at the foundation of it all. And us just having each other to navigate and hold each other accountable in those times when it got rough.
Absolutely. Hold that thought for me. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to have more of David and Tamela Mann's story and their book, Us Against the World. Stay on point. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guests this morning are none other than David and Tamela Mann. They join us this morning to share their new book, Us Against the World, Our Secrets to Love, Marriage, and Family. And before we went to break, Tam and David, we were talking about just those challenges that come up. But not only did you have challenges, you both had career dreams and big ideas of becoming successful. So now how do you then fit that into your growing family and all of the things that you guys had dreamed of doing? How does that work?
Well, for me, honestly, it's like big. I don't even know if I would even say I had big dreams.
Did you not? Did you not have big dreams? Because in the book you write fame was never the goal.
It was never. It's like my thing is I always go back to my high school days. I wrote in my yearbook that I wanted to sing and travel the world. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like I put myself right there, but I didn't go beyond that. I didn't see myself beyond that. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people is we put ourselves in a box of this is only what we can accomplish. And I think that's what's happened to, I would say, what a lot of people in my family, that we feel like we can't get out of one city, out of Fort Worth.
And for us, like we were saying, fame was never, the goal. We just had a passion to do what we love to do. We were doing it for free. Sometimes we would go to 3 and 4 churches in one day, just doing it as a passion, and never could have imagined that the Lord would bless on this level.
And I think out of all those years of doing that, the Lord, we didn't realize that we was planting harvest. So it's like once the years went by, it's like we start reaping that we had sowed for so many years for free.
Right. You were just serving your way into the next thing.
Yes.
Right.
So, and that's one thing that we try to encourage young singers and actors that's up and coming. It's not going to happen overnight. And, it takes time for these things to happen, even for you to develop. Mm-hmm. And David saw in me what I didn't see in myself. So when we say reach all these goals, if I didn't have him to push me, I don't think I would be here. I really don't.
Wow. So did you not see, as big as your voice is, did you not see that you could be much bigger than where you were?
I can answer that. No. She just said, I'm a world-class singer. You are world-class, and you need to, people need to hear that.
Wow.
So I told her, I said, you have to get out there and do a project. She was like, no, I'm not doing it.
No, I was fighting them because I was like, I'm cool. I mean, I'm good with just being in the background. But it's like he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And sometimes that's what we need from each other as husband and wife is the push from your spouse to, it's like the one who's truly, he had my best interest at heart. And I didn't realize that this guy is like seeing something that we don't see, and I had to sit him down. We were finishing. I know I'm going a little long there.
Okay.
Finishing, and I kind of, after we had finished one night of the tour, and we was getting dressed and everything in the dressing room, and I was like, I just want to tell you, just in case you didn't know, I said that I appreciate you and I love what you're doing for us as a family. How you've taken lead and leading our family into what we didn't see ourselves doing. It's like he created some things in us and gave us drive where we didn't think we had the drive. As the family, I was like, as the driver.
Right. And so, David, God gives you the vision, and then you pass it down to Tam, and then it trickles down to the rest of the family. But is there a challenge for you, David, in leading when maybe others would say, you should do it this way, or we want to do this and we want to do that? Is there a challenge in that respect?
Sometimes they can be like,
we fight him, yes.
Sometimes we don't see that. And I know what I see. I know what God has given me. And, it's like, you just got to keep pressing. Now, the thing is, you have to, we talk about this, we talk about in the book, the dreaded S word, submission.
Absolutely.
But the mission that God has given me, that's why, they've come to learn, like, okay, we're gonna follow.
And it's not a dictatorship.
Yeah, I don't,
because everybody has their voice. We still all have our own voices.
Right.
And it's like, even though he's the leader and we all follow, but yet it's like, if we see something like, okay, let's try it this way.
Right.
We all have input.
Yeah. See, that dreaded word submission, guys are taking that totally out of context and taking it into a dictatorship. Do what I say do. No, it's like, Lord, what do you have for me so I can lead my family? And that's where that comes from and how it's supposed to be.
Sure. Now, what about the external forces, David, that come in to say, we think Tam should be this, we want her to do that, and you're leading and you have the vision. How do you then balance that if there is the adversity of people trying to come in?
We have such a tight-knit team because our whole family, so we can all kind of see it coming before it gets there, So we all kind of hold each other accountable when we see those kind of, outside forces coming in. And she's the spirit of discernment. Like, she can look and tell, like, that guy no good. She's no good.
Reading people.
She's a great reader of people. So we trust her.
Mm-hmm. And so in the relationship, being that you work together, you play together, you're together all the time, how do you strike a balance? Because when you work together all the time, you're never really far from it.
Well, for me, it's what I've always desired, is to have someone that worked with me, understood where I am. And it's like, kind of like even with you, you don't have to explain to your husband what's going on, because it's like, he knows you have to sit down and talk to different people. He knows that we have to maybe work late hours and be in the studio and things like that.
I think she was saying is, how do we balance all of that out?
That's what
now, sometimes I can get the line for me is blurred. Honestly, I was
kidding. So I'm sorry. But for me, I take my time, my me time is what I call it, and just kind of separate myself, like, get my hair done. I may just want to go shop just for myself for a few hours. So it's like, to me, I have to keep myself together in order to help keep the family together for the parts that I have to oversee and to be there for him, to keep myself together.
Well, like I was saying, for me, I can kind of get the line blurred a little bit. So through the years, they've kind of told me, look, you're mixing work with family. And it's kind of difficult when when your business, your family is a business, And so we've kind of learned to balance it out, and kind of with everybody will kind of hold each other accountable, but it can get blurred.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break here. But when we come back, we want to talk about what you guys have coming up next. And we want to tell people how they can get the book. David and Tamela Mann are our guests this morning, and we're talking about us against the world. Stay on point. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guests this morning are David and Tamela Mann, and we're talking about their newly released memoir, Us Against the World. And so as you go around and you share your story, when you look at the blessings of God, David, did you ever think that he would bring you in the presence of such great men and women?
Never could have imagined. I was telling her the other day, we're just two little country kids from Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
And you're standing in the White House, and it's like, we're just looking around like this.
Like, have you ever felt like you're out of place? Like, man,
what are we doing in the White House? It's just nothing but the grace of God that put us in some places and situations that we've been in, and that's all I can attribute it to.
Yes, but even standing, like, when we were with Kirk Franklin and the family, we did Carnegie Hall, and I was standing in there. It's like I was in tears, because it's like, this is like the place to be not like vocally. It's like, this is the place to just let it go, let it rip your voice, and it's just amazing places, like you said, that we've been and we've stood in, and people we've met. I never dreamed of it to go to this extent, but it's like our favor. It's just opened the door for us.
And one of the things that you write about in the book is on the journey to everything that has happened, how you have been able to remain grounded. And one of the things that you write, David, or one of you were talking about in the book is when you started to get that notoriety and then you were on the streets and people started to recognize you. How do you then deal with fame and keep that separate?
Yeah, it's when you see a lot of times people are getting caught up with like the fame is who they are. That's never who we intended it to be. We didn't want to be like these rich and famous people. Our goal, this is what God has given us the platform for, the book, is to help as many people as we can. And so we're not caught up in people calling our name. I want as many people that can to know his name.
I love that. And I love where you write in the book that you wouldn't be sort of built around the applause of people. You would understand that it wasn't about the applause of people. You know, when that went silent, you still understood who and whose you were.
And you know, and that at the end of the night, we get to go home and love each other. And in the process, we get to help as many people, like on the tour, to just see the people that were blessed by the music from the, you know, the project and from the book. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you say, Tam, to young couples? And I know you guys have kids that are married, but what do you say to couples about being us against the world, you and me, and taking divorce off the table?
Well, when it comes to your relationship, it should be you and your husband, or your spouse, I should say, because your kids are going to grow up and leave. And it's like a lot of times we put into our careers, we put our kids first, everything, you know, we should be the priority. Your relationship should be first and then everything else.
Mm-hmm. And so, David, what do you hope that couples that will pick this book up, what's the most important thing that you hope that they will take away from this book?
That word right there, that there's hope. That, you know, I 30 years, I don't want to, when people look at us and see, wow, you guys have been married 30 years. I mean, that's a great thing. It's a great accomplishment, but I want it to become the norm. I don't want it to become the minority, like, oh, it's a big deal. Yeah, we thank God for the big deal, but I want couples to be able to know that we can make it too. We can survive too. We're going to go through ups and downs, but we know that some of these keys and tips in this book can help us get through it.
Absolutely. What's the most important tip that you guys would share with couples that say, y'all are just old school? You know, people don't do it that way anymore. You know, what would you say to those people, Tam, for you?
I can't.
I think you froze a little.
So
I said for those people that would say you're old school and nobody's doing it like this anymore, what tip would you say to those people?
Wow. You know, it's so many things that we can say. We'll give you a few.
It works.
Yeah.
You can say that. It works. It's one tip that I would, you know, it's not, I would say give it a try. It's like, not to say you're going to do everything that we've done, but I mean, it's like one thing we do is we try to outdo each other, doing for each other. Nothing lacking, nothing goes wanting, because it's like his needs are being met, my needs are being met. And it's like everything is covered. And
other tips, cover each other. Cover each other's strengths and, you know, like, you know, identify, even when we talk about finances, and identify who's the person that can best manage the finances. We talk about that in the book. A lot of times we don't want to do that. I'm the man and I should be able to do it. No, you don't keep good with finances. Good.
Absolutely.
And so like that, you know, making sure you're communicating correctly with each other, because every couple communicates, but sometimes we don't communicate with each other correctly.
And also sometimes we go back and we just renew just talk about our vows of what are we needing from each other, or we giving each other what, you know, even to standing to the vows. It's like withholding the vows.
Absolutely. It is an incredible book. It's entitled Us Against the World. Before we've got to let you guys go, tell us what your fans can expect next from you all.
Well, we just released the project, new CD with the book, Us Against the World, the Love Project. It's the first time that Tamela and I have collaborated on an album together, full album, and it's an album of love, pure love music. Yeah. It's talking about just a man's love for his wife, wife's love for her husband, and
some of the songs are based off of some of the stories,
the chapters in the book
that we have in the book.
I love the one, Good Love.
Good Love.
That's our single.
I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. I think that you guys are a phenomenal couple, and I love the way that you shared a lot of the hard, harsh beginnings, because for people that are struggling right now, like many couples might be, it speaks to the possibility if you just do the work.
Put the work in, the results will come.
Absolutely.
And that's what, if you put the work in, the results will come with it.
We want to thank you guys so much for taking the time, and we just can't wait to see what God is going to do next in your life. Before you got to go, Tam, give us your website. There are a lot of great resources. People can go there and see a lot of your work and see what's coming next.
You can follow us at David and Tamela Mann. That's everything for our Facebook, our Instagram, all of that. But if it's not both of us together with the blue check, it's not us, because we have so many people putting them up every day and we keep getting them taken down. But it's David and Tamela together with the blue check.
And also it's tillymanmusic.com.
There you go. David and Tamela Mann have been our guests this morning. The book is Us Against the World, Our Secrets to Love, Marriage, and Family. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Indeed. Hey, everybody, stay on point. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. This is the final point on point. We want to thank our guests this morning, David and Tamela Mann. Their book is entitled Us Against the World, Our Secrets to Love, Marriage, and Family. But before I talk about the book, I just want to say on behalf of Team OPT how grateful we are to David and Tamela Mann. Now, they are some of the biggest stars in the country. If you have watched any of Tyler Perry's plays, Mr. Brown, the Grammys, the Doves, B.I.G. When I tell you that they have the humility that is unparalleled, I can't even express it. Just getting set up for the interview, the time and the care and the patience that they exuded in making sure that we got the information and we got everything right is just heartwarming. And for that, we say thank you. The fact that they, out of their busy schedule, have taken time to share with us in Alexandria, Louisiana, Central Louisiana, and all of the places that we cover, their story of life and love and courage and commitment. It just speaks volumes to their hearts and who they really are. And one of the things that they write in the book is that they never stop being people. Though they're celebrities, though their stars have risen, they are just people caring about people. And one of the things that they care about deeply is marriage. And I'm going to tell you, oftentimes when people have been married for a long time, sometimes they're hesitant about putting out the bad and the ugly. Now, anybody can tell you about the good, but the bad and the ugly is not always that easy. And what they write about in the book is about how they came together in the beginning. Neither of them had seen a successful marriage. Neither of them, like many of us, didn't even really know what that was in terms of reality. I mean, we'd seen it maybe in other people's marriages or on television, but not in our own marriages. And so when people who have had to create their own paradigm, who have had to do the work, come out and start to talk about their challenges, but how they made it through so that they can help the next marriage, that's really big and it's really important, especially since we know that more than 50% of marriages end in divorce, especially now in the church, where couples are saying, if it's not working, I'm going to get out. And I'm going to get out sooner rather than later. And oftentimes people don't give God a chance because we're looking at it's not working for me. And when you look at other people's lives, and I'm not saying that we should compare our marriage or our situation to David and Tamela Mann's or anybody's situation. But what you can do is you can look at the upheaval, the highs and the lows that they have had in their marriage, and even other people in and around your sphere of influence. And you can say, you know what? If they made it through, it speaks to the possibility. But you have to do the work. And in the book, they talk about the work that they did, and they also talk about the work that has to go forward. See, in marriage, the work never stops. It never stops. And what I love the most is how they have cheered each other on. Their careers and their hopes and their dreams, they weren't in competition with each other. He said, you know what? When she's successful, the family is successful. I'm cheering the loudest. She said, you know what? When he goes and brings down the house and makes people laugh, I'm cheering the loudest because we're all successful. Now, your marriage may not be in show business, or it may not be the same talent and same gifts as the man's, but whatever they are. You see, the word in scripture tells us that when a house is divided, it can't stand. But it also tells us that when two or more are agreed, when we touch in agreement, I mean real true agreement, that anything is possible. And I'm going to tell you, this book, it speaks to marriage possibility. They give you some keys to things that help them in the book. At the end of the book, they talk about finances, and they talk about openness and honesty, and they talk about having goals that work together and understanding how your finances work, not hiding, not cheating, not stealing literally from yourself. They just put it all out there in a ministry to marriage, and their heart and their heart's desire is to see marriages grow and thrive, and to be able to come into community with other couples and say, you know what? We went through some hard times, but we didn't stay in those hard times. We made it through. And if we made it through, then you can too. I hope that you pick the book up. They've got a CD out as well where they're singing on it together. It is a beautiful love story, but it has its challenges, but beautiful nonetheless. Again, a heartfelt thank you to David and Tamela Mann. The book is entitled Us Against the World. This has been The Final Point on Point. Stay with us. We're back after this.